where brave men and women gave voice to the voiceless. But then the corporations bought the journalist, poisoning the news that we are fed. With those tainted sources, all we ever ate was a steady diet of status quo. This hijacked narrative hid the truth of mass suffering, injustice, and corruption throughout our land. Status quo, status quo, status quo, status quo. To expose this shift to oligarchy came a band of honest journalists. They left the studio and hit the streets to give the microphone back to the people. From sea to sea, the people were empowered to share their truth. Their voices no longer stifled, reclaimed their power. Join the media revolution now.
Status quo! Jordan Chariton live 4 o'clock Eastern time. Had to go live a little early today because we have our membership call tonight. That is our membership call tonight. That's Jen and I. Sorry, Jen. I don't know why it's so dark on your side. Ty had to brighten the letters, apparently. So we'll talk about that a little bit later. If you remember, we got our video call tonight. That's 7:30 Eastern time. You will get, we take your comments, questions, concerns, ideas. It's always a wild time. And if you become a member before 7:30 Eastern, you'll get the link to join us. It's not a live chat, it's a video call. So you'll see my ugly mug, Jen's wonderful mug, and we'll see you too. Joining me today is Walker Bragman, independent journalist. You should definitely follow him on the Twitter. What's your Twitter?
It's at Walker Bragman. It's very original. You know, it's the name.
Yes.
With no dots.
Mm-hmm.
Just the name.
And thank you, Citrus Peppercorn, getting us started in the $1 super chat. This is a super chat. So, Walker, wonderful you're here today because we have a lot of things to talk about.
It's good to be here, Jordan.
And Walker, I should give you credit. Walker has unearthed a whole lot of previous clips from Joe Biden as a senator in the 90s that he fast and furious on his Twitter.
Stop.
I put his Twitter in the description, so go follow him. You've also found things from Kamala Harris and things that require really spending the time to watch old C-SPAN clips and things like that.
Just wait till you see what I dug up on you.
Oh, looking forward to it. So, you know the drill? You know the drill. I need all of you right this minute, right away. It's an emergency. Smash that like button. We have 150 watching already, but only 78 likes. So we need 160 likes right away. If you're watching on your phone, I need you to temporarily press the X button on the live chat. You'll see the thumbs up button. Press that button because the more people that press like, the more people that see the live stream. That's YouTube shenanigans for you. I don't know why their algorithm is the way it is, but that's what it is. Also, important, we are now at 612. Count it, 612 Status Quo members. Our goal for the end of July is 700. And again, we have our members call tonight. So if you want to join the call with us, that's Jen and I tonight. We're going to have an exciting announcement to make tonight. That's a little teaser. We're going to have an exciting announcement to make tonight regarding Flushing Flint, our documentary, Flushing Flint.
I won't be here.
No, you will not be here. So become a member for as low as $5 to $10 a month. That's statusquo.com/join. And I know there's some of you stragglers out there that have not become a member. Is real independent journalism worth a cup of Starbucks coffee for you a month? $5 to $10 a month. Let's make it happen. Also, follow us at Status Quo on the Twitter. I'm at Jordan Chariton. Subscribe to our podcast. That's bit.ly/Status Quo podcast. When you subscribe to the podcast, if you don't want to type in that link, just Google Status Quo podcast. Rate us 5 stars and leave a comment. It helps us move up on iTunes. And join our email list. That's statusquo.com. You'll see a little field to enter your email. Email is very important. That's how we grow. Also, get in a little bit closer.
All right.
So,
you smell a little. No,
do
I'm
I?
just kidding.
So, Walker, I don't know if you saw earlier, and for those of you who didn't see, I did a video yesterday. Oh my God, I forgot. We also have our GoFundMe roaring. We're now at $63,387. So we want to keep growing. Whatever you could do. You want to leave a GoFundMe? Great. You want to leave in Super Chat? Great. But the more money, the more funds you give us, the more we could cover the important news that the corporate media is covering up. See that? We cover what the corporate media is covering up. Thank you, Gene. $5 in the Super Chat. Keep the $5. Keep the Super Chats coming. Jen is out today. She had to go to a funeral, unfortunately. So our moderator, Michael and Paul, pump in the membership link and the GoFundMe link as much as you can. Walker is a joker. Well, we'll see about that. So
I'm not funny.
Earlier, I did a video. I wasn't live, but I want to talk about it because I don't know if you've noticed, Walker. It's like the corporate media is painting a picture that Senator Elizabeth Warren has totally reinvented the wheel on all things grassroots fundraising, all things political revolution. It's like they've never heard of somebody in a couple years ago that did no private fundraisers, had an average donation of $27, and they're making it seem like she's revolutionary. Now, I got my issues with Warren. I've already said some of the viewers don't like it. Me personally, I would vote for her versus Trump. I'm not telling viewers what to do, but me personally, I don't think she's as bad as Hillary Clinton. I don't think she's as bad as Biden or Kamala Harris. But we're not there yet. She's not the nominee. I don't frankly think she will be the nominee. But I want to show one clip, and then Walker and I are going to respond to show you kind of this media narrative that's been happening the last few days about Elizabeth Warren. Bear with me, folks.
But she's also her fundraising haul. It's pretty extraordinary. And Steve, it does prove your point, something that you've said throughout this process, that yes, the bundlers are so important, the big money givers are so important, but just as important, these candidates' ability to raise a lot of money actually online. And Elizabeth Warren's numbers, boy, very dramatic because not only did she easily bypass Kamala Harris, but also Bernie Sanders. Who would have believed that several months ago?
Yeah, Joe. Well, first, I think you were exactly right when you talked about the fact that people were paying attention to her on the campaign trail. And she did something that, honestly, I would not necessarily have predicted, which is she went kind of through the policy door. Her mantra was, I have a plan. Her famous refrain has become, I have a plan. She has a plan for everything. We may or may not like it or agree with it. But it seems that the public has bought into that idea that she is someone with ideas who's going to get things done. And secondly, to your other point about where the money came from, it is a fact that she raised this from individual donors. She's had something like 450,000 unique individual donors in this campaign. And just to put that in a frame of reference, as everyone I think knows, you needed 65,000 donors to get on the debate stage for the first debate. You need 130,000 to get it on the second debate. And so she has massively outperformed those criteria. And another factoid for you, her average donation was about $28. For Mayor Pete and for Biden, the average donation was about $49. And so obviously they were depending more on big money. The only one who was below her was actually Sanders at $18. So he still very much is getting that money from the people. But when you sum this all up, I think what you see now is that within that progressive wing of basically Sanders and Warren, it's clearly Warren who now has the momentum.
So you get the point there. That's Morning Joe, the cocktail crowd. And I don't want to miss any super chats. Thank you, Toby Bunitz, $10 in the super chat. Hey, hope you're well. If you remember, I tried to get an interview with Janet Stout. Sorry, it didn't work out. I think I can fix the elect college. Can we see what other progressives think about? Toby, I love you, but I don't know what you're talking about. Email info@statuscoup.com. info@statuscoup.com, and let me know more about what you're talking about, because I'm not following. Thank you, Gene, $5 in the super chat. So what I found so interesting about that is they're making it seem, A, like she is doing something revolutionary. In fairness, I give credit. She has not done any private fundraisers that we know about. She's not taking Wall Street money, at least now. She said, general election, I might, because we don't want to unilaterally disarm.
Yeah, this disarmament line, gotta love it.
Right.
They've been using that since, 2006? Like,
Right.
I remember there was a Jon Stewart, he was talking about Nancy Pelosi and how, she was saying, we gotta get money out of politics, and he had pointed out, oh, well, you took the most money of anybody. And she's like, yeah, but, it's bad for them.
Right.
And he compared it to ice cream, right?
Right.
It's bad for them, but we know it's bad, so it's not bad for us. And that's what a crazy person says.
Right. But I'm saying Warren's not my first choice, but she did have a good second quarter. When I say second quarter, it's April, May, and June. So, but what I find so interesting is MSNBC, CNN, New York Times, they got a lot more resources than little old Jordan and status quo. So I said to myself, wait a minute. Yeah, Warren raised more money than Bernie, $1 million. In politics, that's not much. In real life, a lot. But what is the context of that? Not just Warren, but what is the context of, say, Mayor Pete raised more than Bernie these last 3 months?
Wait, can we
One sec. Mayor Pete raised more money than Bernie the last 3 months. So did Biden. What is the context? So I looked at the information that Bernie Sanders' campaign had put out, and they hadn't put out how many individual donors Bernie Sanders had in the second quarter. And I thought, that's strange. I don't know if it was an oversight on their part or they chose not to. Whatever. I reached out to their campaign because it hadn't been reported yet. How many individual donors did he have? Well, what do you know? When you actually reach out in journalism, you could really accomplish a lot of things. An assist to Ty, who made this wonderful graphic. So we got in the left column, Buttigieg, 24.8 million. If you have 50 fundraisers with
He's
Wall Street
polling
fat
at
cats.
4% nationally, and he raised more than anyone else. How does a small town, and when I say small town, I mean Buttigieg is the mayor of a town with a population of 100,000 people. How does a small town mayor, who nobody, by the way, is asking, is this person qualified to be president, having only been a small town mayor of a gentrifying town?
But Walker, he talks
He's
so nicely.
At 4%.
He talks so warmly and nicely.
4%. 4%, and he raises more than anybody else. I'm sorry, but that tells you, I think, in my mind, everything you need to know about his candidacy. Right there, it tells you who his donors are, what his mindset is when it comes to raising money, and how he's going to govern, because who the people are that he's surrounding himself with.
Right. And a reminder, we have almost 300 people watching. We only have 160 likes. The more people that smash that thumbs up button, the more viewers we're going to get. So if you're watching on your phone, X out of the live chat just for a second, and then press the thumbs up button. If you don't like me, it's fine.
It's because I'm here.
Fake it. If you like Walker, like it for him. We got to get those likes up to 300 ASAP.
But don't not like it because of one of us.
Right. So let's go through this because, I think as a journalist, it's kind of important, instead of pushing narratives, to just report actual numbers and facts. And I don't even think fundraising is the most important thing, but let's put it this way. Buttigieg, 24.8 million. Obviously, if you have 50 fundraisers with max donations as an entry fee, max donations meaning $2,800, you're going to make a lot of money. Same thing, Biden, a lot of big Wall Street fundraisers. I've been reporting on it. Others have been reporting on it. He basically told Wall Street, nothing's going to change if I'm president. Your standard of living will be great. It won't change, and you guys are patriots, and blah, 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 blah.
Explicitly, not basically.
Right. Basically, I'm going to get demonetized for this. Fuck it. He basically sucked Wall Street's dicks. So, swear jar, super chat. So, now we go through the numbers. If I can find it again. All right. Warren, 19.1 million. Sanders, 18 million. Harris, 12 million. So now the most important thing, which I don't know why Bernie's campaign didn't put this out, but I got it from them anyway. So, Buttigieg, 294,000 donors, unique donors. Biden, 256,000 unique. Warren, 384,000. Bernie Sanders, 450,000 unique donors in the second quarter. Harris, 279,000. So you see a pattern. the people that are raising more from large donors are raising that money is being raised from fewer actual donors, but they're getting the most max donations. So, Buttigieg, Biden, Harris, that is not the makings of grassroots support. That's why their average donation is all higher, because they're getting more max donations.
This is not what movement politics looks like. For when it comes, if you look at Buttigieg, if you look at Biden, if you look at Harris, that's not movement politics. I think where Sanders stands apart from the rest of the field is that he's a movement man. He's somebody who's going to go to D.C. and he's going to use the public sentiment and public support that he has to lean on his opponents. And I think Warren might also govern in a similar fashion, maybe to a lesser degree. I don't know. Her comment about we can't unilaterally disarm is sort of problematic.
But what I think is so problematic, I'd love your thoughts, Walker. I have no problem giving Elizabeth Warren credit. She raised $1 million more. She definitely has some momentum. But when you look at the totality of the money here, that clip I showed you where he pointed out she's gotten 450,000 unique donors. That's total for the whole campaign, quarter one and quarter two. Bernie Sanders got 450,000 just for the second quarter.
Nobody's even close to Sanders when it comes to a movement.
But that's not the narrative you're hearing in corporate outlets.
Because they're looking at polling, which tend to undersample younger people, which is Sanders' strongest base. And that's not to say that the polling is inaccurate, but it also doesn't necessarily translate to votes. You could like a candidate a lot. People could like Biden. A lot of people do like Biden. They think he's a good man, a decent man fundamentally when you strip away the politics.
Except the protesters that stormed his Philadelphia office today, which we'll get to.
Why you got to do that to me? Here I am trying to make a point. You just dropped the counterpoint in.
Go ahead.
All right. So look, there are, despite protests and whatnot, there are people who do like Joe Biden a lot. And as a person, that doesn't mean they're going to throw money at his campaign. That doesn't mean they're going to go vote for him, or they're going to try to bring people to the polls with them to vote for him, which is a really important thing. If you're running for office, you got to not just inspire voters to go to the polls, but you got to inspire voters to get their family and their friends. And this is a big area where Hillary Clinton failed. Progressives turned out for Hillary, but they didn't bring their friends.
Right.
They weren't super inspired.
But what I think is so telling about this, and again, as far as I know, we're the first one to report this. By any objective measure, you look at this graphic. Okay, the left column, on the surface, Bernie ranked fourth in amount raised. Because he's getting more actual unique donors. That's human beings that have hearts, lungs, whatever. He's getting more people to actually donate at a lower average donation, $18. So of all these candidates, Bernie Sanders, just objectively by the numbers, has the most donors. He also, in the second quarter, had 1 million total donations. So unique donors is how many people are donating, and donations is how many actual donations. So if Walker is one person, you could donate, theoretically, 50 times, 100 times, as long as you don't reach go over the max 2,800. So at the bottom, this is the most important for the entire campaign. Quarter one, quarter two. Bernie has raised more than any candidate with a total of 2 million overall donations. I looked. If somebody wants to correct me, that is a record. And by the way, we're talking 6 months. So January, February, March, April, May, June. He started his campaign at the end of February. So he's received 2 million donations in 4 months. Why this is so important? When the corporate media and the corporate Democratic establishment, and they really work hand in hand, what they're trying to push is Bernie's time is done. He's fading. The mojo is gone. The feel the burn is yesterday.
Well, because all these other candidates are here and they've adopted his platform. He's already won, so hand him the symbolic victory. He's already won. And look, I think it's sort of a ridiculous narrative because like the same things that powered his candidacy in 2016 are there today. The same problems are there today. 78% of full-time workers live paycheck to paycheck. 40% of Americans struggle to afford at least one basic necessity. There are kids rationing insulin and dying. Like these are problems that persist. They have not gone away. They have gotten worse under Trump. And so there's no reason to think that people would, turn away from a candidate who has been basically talking about those problems for 40 years, especially when the people who have now adopted that platform have been talking about it for 2 years.
Right.
Or less. I mean, to Warren's credit, again, Warren has been talking about these issues for a long time as well. And it would be unfair to say that she has not. Maybe her solutions are less progressive than Sanders. They certainly aren't as big. But she has been talking about these issues. She has a different approach to solving them.
I heard somebody, excuse me, I'm borrowing from somebody. I'm not crediting him because I forget the guy's name. But I heard somebody say the difference between Bernie Sanders and Elizabeth Warren, and I think there's more than just this. Elizabeth Warren wants to regulate the market. Bernie Sanders wants to fundamentally rethink the market.
Right.
Right.
The difference between a regulatory state and a welfare state.
Right.
And I tend to be more in the latter category. I think that bigger solutions are needed. That doesn't mean that I'm not excited by the fact that the two candidates that seem, in my opinion, to have the most steam are two progressive candidates. I mean, Sanders and Warren, to me, have the most steam in this race. I could be wrong.
I think Warren's support is not necessarily from capital P progressive. She's picking off some older elite establishment traditional liberal voters. However, the bottom line is, and thank you Zachary Kirkpatrick, €5, I think that's euros, in the super chat. Quick plug for Mark Charles, Navajo Man for President 2020. Very interesting platform for racial and economic justice. Check him out. Send me the info@statuscoup.com. We'll see if I can interview him. We have another Pop Reality, $5 in the super chat. Bernie needs to start planning a 1,000,000-man march on Washington. He could do it with his volunteers alone. Third Way loves Warren too much. Bingo. Oh, we're going to get to Wall Street and Warren. So what's important here is, bottom line, they're essentially, you want to talk about Kellyanne Conway and alternative facts, which has been rightly slammed? The media is creating alternative facts. They are reporting the fundraising numbers as well as the polling, leaving out the fact that he's out fundraising every single candidate for the totality of the campaign. He's got more individual donors. He's double individual donors than Warren. Warren has total unique individual donors, meaning people that have donated, 450,000 for the entire campaign. Bernie Sanders has 925,000 individual donors for a total number of donations, 2 million. He's smoking Elizabeth Warren. It's not to take away from the recent 3 months where she has done well, but the numbers are the numbers. Any objective person that's looking here would say 450,000, I believe, is more people than 384,000. Correct me if I'm wrong. 1 million donations is more than 683,000. But if you hear Morning Joe, CNN, MSNBC, Bernie's fading, Warren has the momentum. I think, frankly, and I've already talked about this, I'd love your thoughts, I think Bernie didn't do the job he needed to do in the first debate. I think he should have been a lot more aggressive, particularly against Biden. I think he's repeating some of the mistakes from 2016. He's going to a knife fight holding a spoon. Hopefully he'll show up to play a little bit more aggressively in the second debate. I also think Bernie, frankly, needs to start pointing out the differences between him and Warren. He could be respectful about it. They are friends. But you got to point out, you are the OG, and you have showed up to progressive fights when she has not. That doesn't mean she's Satan, but it's just the facts.
Look, I think that Sanders should go a little more on offense. If I were on his team, that's what I would be advising. I think he did okay in the first debate. I mean, he didn't wow anybody. His closing comment I thought was the best of the night.
That's the problem. It was
right.
the closing
comment. It was the closing comment.
And the majority of people don't sit through
I think he should have opened with something along those lines. And I think that he can spice it up a little bit. He can make it a little more relatable to people. He can tell stories, but he's never been that guy. He's always been the kind of politician who just kind of talks about the numbers and the facts and like these are problems and let's deal with these problems. And,
but the bottom line is that's not how politics works.
No, it's not. It's not. And he's got to get a little more out there. I think that I will say I think Biden totally tanked.
Oh yeah,
which is a good thing. So that like took the pressure off of Sanders, I think, because everybody was like, oh my God, Biden nosedived, Sanders sort of stayed level, and Harris, came up.
Well, I think the point of I'm saying, it's not that he did bad, but the bottom line is he has to understand, and his campaign, I think, understands, based on my experience covering his campaign in 2016, it's not like his campaign people are not telling him what we're saying. The thing is, if you just kind of decide, I'm going to show up, I'll let other people have a food fight or whatever, well, the bottom line is you only get one chance at a first impression. That was Kamala Harris's first impression to a lot of Americans who have no idea that she's hoarding money from Wall Street. That was Elizabeth Warren's first impression to a lot of Americans that might have heard her name before but never really heard her because most Americans watching these debates are not into politics the way you and I and Walker are. And also, if for example, when Savannah Guthrie asked Joe Biden, what did you mean when you told Wall Street I'm going to fluff your pillows?
Yeah, no follow-ups.
And Joe Biden pivots to something entirely different. And then Savannah Guthrie says, thank you, Vice President Biden. Of course, they're not going to challenge him. That's where Bernie Sanders needs to step in and say, well, respectfully, Vice President Biden, I think, the millions of people watching that are still digging out of the trenches from the 2008 financial crash would really like to know what you meant when you said that. Because that's being a fighter. And part of what Trump's allure was, even though he was full of shit, was pointing out they're puppets. They're puppets. Anti-establishment.
I've gave money to every single one of them. Yeah, and it was a hell of a debate performance. I will say that Democratic voters and Republican voters are different. That what appeals to Republican voters, which was sort of, I think, Trump's bravado and whatnot, might not appeal as well to Democratic voters, which is why Biden is having such a hard time right now.
I don't think there's as much of a difference as you want. Obviously, Democratic voters don't want a bravado like they're rapists, they're criminals, and they're bigotry. But people across both aisles like somebody who, A, is a fighter, B, who seems like he's calling out hypocrisy, he or she is calling out hypocrisy, and different. I think that's the main point.
But you have to show you're a fighter differently. Like, Democrats ate up when Kamala Harris was like, Americans don't want a food fight. They want to know how we're going to put food on our table, which, by the way, is the most I have to have watched, like, I don't want to estimate the number of hours of Kamala Harris videos that I've watched, but that is such a Kamala Harris, like, scripted moment. Like, she planned that. She was totally ready for that. At least it seems this way to me, that this was pre-planned, that if there was a kerfuffle on the stage, that's the line she would use. It's very Harris. She came prepared. And she didn't throw anybody under the bus except Biden, but she was, I think.
But the thing is, if Bernie would have done what Harris did to Biden, I don't think Bernie should have been the one talking about busing.
He couldn't.
But if he would have done it on Wall Street or Crime Bill or on many different things, you could have seen Bernie getting the Loop the next day coverage. You could have seen Bernie shooting up in donations.
I don't think anything was going to top the busing.
But I don't want to get sidetracked on the debate. Before we move on, a few more public service announcements. We got 430 people watching. Only 260 of you have pressed that like button. So we need, I can't do the math, but almost 200 more of you to press that thumbs up button. If you're watching on your phone, just temporarily X out of the live chat. Please smash that thumbs up button. The more people that press the like button, the more people that will see this. As a reminder, folks, we have a members call for our Status Quo members tonight. It's a video call with myself, my co-founder, Jen Dyes. If you've joined our members calls before, it's quite the wild, wild west. I'm always doing a little TMI, and then Jen yells at me, and we have a bit of an announcement tonight that I think you guys will be excited about. So, Become a member before 7:30 Eastern Time, and you will get the link to join our video call. That's statuscoup.com/join. We are now at 612 paying members. You can become a Status Coup member for as low as $5 to $10 a month. Hey, Walker, would you trade in your latte for the week to become a Status Coup member
Jordan,
at $5 to $10 a month?
Jordan, I don't drink coffee.
Would you trade in your chamomile tea with honey for $5 to $10 a month?
I prefer peppermint, actually. But yeah, sure.
Should-
Sure. But do I have to look at you the whole time?
No,
While I
but
do it?
Walker,
Is that?
you're an independent journalist.
Do I get to
Do
look
you
at you the whole
believe-
time? That's the better question. Do I get to look at you the whole time? And
Sure.
how much access do I get for
Sure.
$5? Because
You get a lot of access as a viewer.
you do?
Yeah.
So I can call you like at 3 a.m. when I'm having a panic attack about.
You could call me. I might not answer, but you could call me.
That's. I'm going to need a little more access.
Well, the bottom line is, Walker, and we've had these conversations off screen. It takes money to
Right.
fund real reporting.
It does, and I do think that you guys do a really good job of going out there and actually talking to people, which
Right.
is something that you don't see a lot of outlets do. The one thing, and Jordan and I were talking about this. This is not planned.
Oh boy.
We were talking about, and we for as long as I've known you, we've been talking about how the need for journalists to go out and get the human stories, and it's something that is the most important thing that anybody has ever told me about this job is that the human stories are really where it's at. Like that's the meat of journalism. You go out, you talk to people, and you know that's what needs to be covered. We need to humanize issues like healthcare. We need to humanize issues like climate change. I mean,
Poverty, gentrification.
yeah, that stuff is. That's what matters, and the fact that that doesn't get covered is why a lot of people don't have any faith in the media. And they hear, especially when they hear things like, "Oh, the economy is doing so well, unemployment is down." Yeah, unemployment's down. How many jobs are you working? How are your benefits?
Unemployment's down
What's
also
happened to your
because
retirement
a
fund?
lot of people stop looking, so they
Yeah.
get removed.
Yeah, but do you have any savings? If you got sick, like I was talking to somebody today, and I was like, he was saying, well, I'm doing fine, and I think the economy's doing great. I was like, yeah, well, what if you got cancer tomorrow? Heaven forbid, but if you got cancer tomorrow, how long would it take to run down your savings?
Right.
And he was like, I don't know, and he kind of like laughed at the question, but like it's an important thing, and like they're everyday people. These stories aren't sexy. They're not the sort of thing that people like want to read about because people like a little bit of escapism, and that's where cable is headed, towards stuff that like is palace intrigue and
Headed.
Well, yeah, headed.
Exists.
It does exist. It
Yeah.
does exist. It worse in some places than others. I do think, and you'll disagree, but I do think that CNN has done some good journalism in the last like year or two, especially on Yemen. They aired videos of bodies on Yemen, but anyway.
You're right. I'm going to pretend you didn't say that. A couple super chats. I don't want to get behind on my peeps in the super chats. Oh, by the way, actually, it's good that you say that. Right now, a little update. We're waiting to hear if CNN approves Status Coup for credentials for their debate at the end of July. We do know MSNBC and NBC denied us, which we had a last stand there. We tried to get in anyway. We had 1,000 viewers live as we did that. CNN, I'm not holding my breath. But again, if they deny us, this goes to show you the corporate media is trying to protect the establishment candidates from aggressive independent journalism. Because I got news for you, both at NBC's debate and CNN's debate. If we're not let in, Status Coup, and I'm not saying it's because like I'm God's gift to the earth. I'm just saying I'm going in there. I don't care if I get invited back in. So I'm going in there figuratively, not literally, guns a-blazing, and I'm going to challenge these campaign officials. I'm going to challenge the candidates if I actually interview them, and they don't want any of that.
What would you ask Joe Biden?
What would I ask Joe Biden?
What would you ask Joe Biden? Like one question, you got like 15 seconds. What would you ask him?
When was America great? His slogan is "Make America America Again." What does that mean? And do you tell that to Wall Street in the morning when you wake up with them, or at night when you go to bed with them? All right, R. Tuck, $5 in the super chat. Can Status Coup please cover the cuts Governor Dunleavy is ramming through in Alaska? He's trying to cut the University of Alaska's budget by 41%. Tuck, I will, but you got to send me more information. info@statusquo.com. That's info@statusquo.com. Send it to me. I'll do my best. Ambrose Freeman, Tool, $2 in the super chat. Still available to help with audio and music. Jen is on top of people sending volunteer volunteer offerings. So stay on Jen. That's info@statusquo.com. Obama the Disappointer, $5 in the super chat. In my opinion, more than anything else, Warren has the establishment's last resort against Bernie. They prefer Biden or Kamala, but they could tolerate Warren. I agree, and I have something on that next. Retro Pirate Truth Seeker, €2 in the super chat. Patreons are real patriots. Join Status Quo. I couldn't agree more. Thank you for the plug. Kamori Amy, $2. Bernie is the GOAT. I agree.
Wait, the GOAT?
Greatest of all time. The Natural Progressive, $2 in the super chat. Looking forward to having you on in 2 hours. I look forward to it. 6:30, I believe. Yes. Blah, 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 blah. What else? Oh, and since he did the plug for us, remember, 420 of you watching. I know there's some of you sitting on the fence. Statusquo.com/join, because sitting on fences sounds sharp and painful. Statusquo.com, becoming a member today, helps us get out in the field. We're going to be covering the debate in Detroit, even if we get denied credentials. And there's a few other in-the-field stories we want to cover. So, moving on. You know, somebody mentioned the establishment is more friendly to Warren. This is now the second to third story I've seen in 2 weeks that Wall Street is warming up to Elizabeth Warren. And they used to call Elizabeth Warren like Lucifer.
Right. And I don't think that Wall Street would be happy with a Warren presidency, and I think that may be an underestimation on their part. But I think that they are so afraid of Bernie Sanders that they will take anybody. And if it looks like she can, sap support away from him and then lose to one of their preferred candidates, and I think that would be the...
I totally disagree with you, and I'll explain why. I just want to read a few lines of this. This is from Fortune. There's a new whisper on Wall Street. Maybe Elizabeth Warren isn't so bad. The Democratic senator who rose to national prominence by calling for tough regulation after the financial crisis is winning respect from a small but growing circle of senior bankers and hedge fund managers. Oh boy. As the presidential candidate from Massachusetts takes aim at the rich and powerful with a slew of tax-raising policy proposals, some financial types who fit the description say she's proven capable and makes some good points. Quote, if she ends up being the nominee, I have no trouble supporting her at all, said David Shamus, Chief Investment Officer of Atlas Merchant Capital, where he's a founding partner alongside former Barclays PC head Bob Diamond. While Warren isn't Shami's top choice, he said, I think she's smart, hardworking, responsible, and thoughtful, and I think thinks markets are important. So
that's it.
I've heard variations of this comment, and Politico had a story on this a couple weeks ago, that the establishment is willing to compromise on Elizabeth Warren. Let me tell you what I think is going on, and I'd like your thoughts. And thank you, Retro Pirate Truth Seeker. Another €2. Warren is a ploy to stop Bernie, as they are worried. I kind of agree with that. Oh my God, I always get the euros and the pounds mixed up. Pound is with the 1 line, euros is with the 2 line. Pound to you, baby. Thank you. So, what I think is going on here, what I truly think is going on here, Wall Street and special interests are very good at understanding people that will work within the system. And what work within the system actually means is work with the donors. I don't think Elizabeth Warren is corrupt. I don't think she's Hillary Clinton. But she's already said some things and done some things that signal she is not as viscerally anti-money in politics as Bernie Sanders is. You either believe to your core that money is poisoning our democracy because we don't have one anymore, maybe we never did, or you don't. If you believe to your core that money is the root of all evil and we cannot suffocate the political system with it, then you don't say things like, well, I'm open for business during the general, and yada, yada, yada. I think that Wall Street is placing their bets fair. They don't want Elizabeth Warren. They definitely, I think their first choice is Kamala Harris, then Biden, then Pete, and so on. But what I think is going on is they know they've already seen, well, she was reaching out to Hillary Clinton's campaign in 2015. to take meetings and make a deal there. She didn't. She sat out on Bernie versus Hillary. She's done a lot of things that are politically calculating. So Wall Street is seeing a signal, not that they respect that she believes in markets. They're seeing a signal. Warren, she has a tough bite, but she's not gonna. She'll water things down. She's not gonna.
We'll have more of a seat at the table with the Warren administration than the Sanders administration.
I think you're underscoring it. I think it's not just a seat. I think they think she's not gonna fight as hard for the things she's proposing, and she'll make deals.
Well, right. She's
AKA water things down.
She's more open to. And look, I don't know, and I don't. I mean, we don't.
It's all speculation.
Yeah, right. It's all speculation. We don't know. That could be. It could also be that it's a big miscalculation, and Warren and Sanders, no matter which one prevails, or if that they're still going to be. I mean, I think that if Warren were the president, I don't think that Sanders wouldn't have a consulting role to play. Like I just don't believe that. But I did want to address this money in politics point, because it's something that we throw around all the time. Everybody talks about the influence of money in politics, and it's corrosive and whatnot. And I just wish that we would talk about it, with a little more, like, nuance, perhaps is the wrong word, but nuance is the word I'm going to go with. The fact that, like, on the one hand, you're spending money to elevate this platform, which could be political spending.
What do you mean?
I mean, the money that you're spending to amplify this platform, this could constitute outside political spending. You're a media company, but at the same time, you get into the politics. Like, there should be caps on what. I mean, I think media companies should be excluded, but like,
I don't get what you mean. Spending money for.
I mean that when you advertise your program, like, we don't want a regimen that would crack down on this.
Mm-hmm.
Like, so money in politics is bad, and it's bad when it influences, politicians, and it's bad that people can spend unlimited sums of money. But it is a complicated issue to regulate, and I think that Warren's approach. I don't think she's anti-regulating money in politics. I don't believe that. I think that the big point here that we're making is that Warren may be more open and less dogmatic in these fights than Sanders, and that's a very real concern. But at the end of the day, I do worry that some of the rhetoric getting thrown around about Warren is that she is just a puppet, that she's and that hasn't really been her career trajectory. It hasn't, and I think that that's important to say. Anyway, but
where I disagree with you is, I think why I am so I don't hide. I personally support Bernie. I think I've made clear I don't screw with facts to support Bernie. I would never intentionally not report something if it was bad against him. I just report based on facts, but. Unlike CNN and MSNBC, don't pretend to be unbiased. I am biased. I like Bernie personally. I like his policies, and also my worldview, being a progressive, informs the stories I cover and where we go in the field. With that said, to me, I think at the end of the day, you either understand that capitalism itself is evil and cannot be regulated because it is an evil system. That is my opinion. It has done an incredible amount of damage, basically since the 1970s, which, by the way, it's not as complicated as you think to regulate money in politics, because it once was.
Well, you put caps on it.
Right, but
you do run into First Amendment issues when you get to...
Right, but my point is, we didn't have this runaway train before, the mid-1970s, but that's...
But that was when we started trying to regulate it. Then you had the court case...
No, we already had strong regulations in place. With PACs and lobbying and all those things, it started to unravel.
But you didn't have limits on how much people could spend on outside spending. And
right.
And once you got that, you got a Supreme Court case that overturned that, and then you had the rich people were like, oh, floodgates are open.
Well, I think there's two separate topics, and I'm seeing this comment a lot from our viewers. By the way, let me give a couple shout outs here. Thank you for the super chat. Angela, $5. All Wall Street needs to know is Warren will take their money in the general. I think that's a good point. Your retro pirate truth seeker, £5. Me and wife are poor. My wife thinks I'm jealous of rich people. She is dumb to truth. Big problem for 29 years. I hope she's not watching. And we love your wife. Don't call her dumb.
Oh man,
boy.
You get that a lot.
No, but I think there's two separate things. Number one, what do we think the media's motivations here is? Because they have been propping up Warren. There's no doubt about that.
Of course,
And,
but that's that. I mean, that was to be expected.
And number two, Warren, I have said personally, and a lot of you might not like it. You've expressed it. I personally would vote for her. I don't tell you who to vote for. Vote for whoever you want. But I'd vote for her because I don't think we should be so extreme and say, oh, she's just another, she's not Hillary Clinton, she's not Kamala Harris, she's not Joe Biden. She would be way more progressive, at least economically. I think she's a disaster of foreign policy.
Let's not get into that. That is her foreign policy is a mess.
On economic issues, but we don't even need to get into it because I really don't think she's going to be the nominee. With that said, I do think the corporate media is trying to prop her up to try and diminish and eventually knock Bernie out. And if they do that, I think they're going to turn on her lickety-split. That it's divide and conquer, basically. The other thing is, to me, the biggest thing about Elizabeth Warren is I don't care what candidates say during campaigns. I really don't. I don't care what her proposals are during the campaign. I care what her record is and what her history is, because that's how you know if they're actually going to stand by the things they're proposing. When Hillary Clinton started, proposing a little bit more liberal, progressive things in the campaign, I didn't even bother reading it because I knew she and Mitt Romney used to go to the beach with their flip-flops, that level of flip-floppery. So I don't really care what Elizabeth, she has good plans. A lot of them are fine. But what is her history? Well, her history is this. When she came into the Senate, she was a firecracker. She was a firebrand. I remember the speech that went viral. You didn't get rich on your own. Your goods went to market on the streets. She was very, very progressive. But as she went, she started showing more political calculation. To me,
she worked with the Obama administration, which didn't hold anybody accountable. Right.
And by the way, I don't think compromise is a dirty word. If Bernie Sanders became president, I got news for you folks. He's going to have to compromise. The difference is, do you compromise 75% of what you want right out of the gate, like Obama did? Or do you start with the most progressive proposal, you stand by your convictions, you enlist your political army? Bernie has a political army. Elizabeth Warren does not. She just doesn't. Bernie Sanders, and this is where Obama failed also, Obama had a political army, Organizing for America.
He had the largest grassroots movement in history, and he did nothing with it. In fact, he left them at the door. He's like, okay, now I'm in. All right, see you guys later.
So I think, to me, listen, would Warren as president be Hillary Clinton as president? No. But my point is, I don't trust Elizabeth Warren the same way I do Bernie Sanders to fight for what she's talking about. I also think, frankly, she has a more, because she was at Harvard, she has a more academic view of markets and the economy and this and that. And I think in some cases it's a little naive. Because at the end of the day, you're up against the most greedy, powerful forces on planet Earth. And that is the American oligarchy. They don't want their markets regulated at all, and they will fight to the deaths. And you see it in your life. So I think I
don't see her taking on her own party. That's where it, problem, that's where it really what it comes down to for me. When I look at these two candidates side by side, and I'm like, which one? It's not that, as I was saying, I don't think that Warren is like a puppet or anything, but I do look at her and I think that she is somebody that doesn't really challenge. She's not really willing and hasn't shown a willingness to buck her own party when it comes to fighting for what she wants. And that's a problem because, as somebody said, she was absent on the Dakota Access Pipeline. She was absent in 2016. She had a candidate that was running that was closely aligned with everything that she'd been talking about for years. She didn't endorse him. I think that her political calculus leans towards timidity, and I think that that's problematic. I do think that she has some idea of how to craft legislation. I don't think that that's really a problem, but it, getting to the timidity thing, her college her college debt forgiveness plan caps at $50,000. I was fortunate enough to not have college debt. I have law school debt, but I didn't have college debt. But had I had college debt, 1 year of my college was that. It would have capped at that, and like, and that's not, and that's for a lot of people. A lot of schools have tuition costs that exceed the cap for her forgiveness plan. So like,
Right.
There's a limitation, I think, to her vision that is very troubling. But I do think that she would fight like hell for higher taxes on the wealthy. I do think that she would, regulate the hell out of derivatives and gambling on Wall Street. I think that she's got a good sense there.
I think
And
there's
that's
a
her wheelhouse.
I think there's a difference between she'll try and she will. She's not going to fight the corporate Democratic Party, who's not going to suddenly be like, they're still going to be in the tank for Wall Street. Bernie Sanders will. I don't want to knock. We got to move on to another topic. We're almost at 500 live viewers. We're an hour in. We're going till 6 o'clock. By the way, I should have told you that. We're going till 6. We're going till 6 o'clock. Before I move on to the next topic, I want to remind the 500 of you watching: 7:30 Eastern tonight is our monthly members-only video call. Hint, hint. Jen and I join our Status Quo members. Patreons get the same link. Join the video call through Zoom.
Do they get to ask you shit?
Yeah. Complain, ask me stuff, whatever.
Like, what's your skincare regimen?
My skincare regimen, I get a little blackheads on my nose sometimes, so I have something for that.
And you exfoliate?
I do
You look
exfoliate,
good. You look
yes.
good.
So members call 7:30 Eastern time. Become a member for as low as $5 to $10 a month. We are at 612 right now. Our goal for the end of July is 700. So that would be 388 of you, brave Americans or international viewers, statusquo.com/join. This is what creates a media revolution. And on that note, I want to get into a topic that's very important that no corporate media outlet is covering at all. You ready for this?
I don't know. I don't know.
Well, part of your membership support, statusquo.com/join, is paying for additional in-the-field reporting from our reporter, Marcus Ely. Let's take a look at an interview he did in Nevada, because, if you think the Iowa caucus and the Nevada caucus are potentially going to be, dare I say, rigged, this interview might be important for predicting the future. Here we go.
Marcus Ely here for Status Quo, and I'm here with Mark.
Yes.
All right, and you came to the Bernie Sanders East Las Vegas office opening.
I did.
Can you talk a little bit about how the event went?
The event went great. I was even more impressed by the event at the church earlier this morning. I thought that was the best. I've been to a few Bernie events, and that was the best one. I think that Cornel West is always a superstar, obviously, but I think that he actually makes Bernie better. I thought that Bernie was relaxed and went through the whole question and answer session in just like a very smooth, sincere way. And I didn't have any doubt that I was with the right candidate, but if I did have any doubt, the odds would have been completely easy this morning. He's the only guy that's gonna get it done for us.
Okay. Yeah, you caught Cornel West in his element in a church. Like,
yeah.
Like he preached. He
Yeah.
preached this morning.
He did, and that's a hard act to follow, but Bernie followed him well. Yeah.
So, looking at 2020 coming up, it's 8 months away from the Nevada caucus.
Yeah.
And there are the rumors, of course, of the virtual caucus that's supposed to be coming down, and it's supposed to be it's supposed to be either online by an app or by phone. But the question that a lot of progressives are having is there going to be the oversight? And a lot of folks understand that, yeah, we need to be more inclusive. We need to be more accessible for folks with disabilities that can't stand in lines forever like that. But at the same time, we also need to have that accountability.
And I was actually in a small way, I was a part of that process. I'm on the state central committee, so as far as the hearings and everything that went up to the rules, Most of my concerns were calmed. I do think that the separate caucus that they're doing on the Strip for the
Strip caucus for the culinary workers.
I think that's. I didn't used to have as big of a problem with that because I saw there was a need to make sure that people were included. With the virtual caucus and the early voting, I think that a lot of that is taken care of by that process, and now you just have added an extra precinct for no reason. But outside of that, I think that the Nevada rules are okay. The Iowa rules, that's my home state, and obviously that's the first state, so you have to get through there to go anywhere. Those are really messed up.
Can you talk a little bit about the Iowa rules and what problems you have with them?
As I understand it, and I don't know what's been finalized, but no matter how many people show up for the early voting or the early or virtual caucusing, whatever they call it, only 10% of the delegates can be awarded that way. So even if I'm just saying, even if the a campaign does a good job at turning out the people at the virtual, that's only 10%. So it puts the campaigns in a position where they need to strategize by getting 10% of their people to go to one thing and then 90% to the other thing. And I think that just unnecessarily complicated.
That basically that's kind of ableist, don't you think? Like, because the whole point is to make this process to be inclusive for folks,
Right.
and then you've basically capped the thing that's supposed to be inclusive for folks.
Yeah. So even if as many people, and I'm just going to throw out candidate names because I'm not making any predictions, but let's say that as many people turn out for Bernie as turn out for Harris, okay. But then Bernie's people come out predominantly for the early, and Harris is for the actual traditional caucus day. Then it would be 90-10. Yes. So it's just going to take a lot of organizing efforts by the campaigns, but I think that it could lead to some chicanery. And one thing that the Democratic Party needs to do to keep their base energized is to be Democratic with a small d and not just with a capital D. So I'm really concerned about their rules. And like I said, I do have concerns about the Nevada Strip caucus rules, but
I mean, from what I've been told from folks, and on multiple accounts, the Democratic Party, as far as a lot of the concerns that were raised, the response has just been trust us.
True. But
I mean, like, and you're not saying any of this. It's funny to me. Like, it's kind of weird that they would say trust us.
That sounds like it's going to go wonderfully. Nobody knows what the hell is the process. By the way, if you don't know yet, they're in Nevada, so they're talking about Nevada. They were talking in the beginning of that clip about the Nevada caucus, but the guy that Marcus was interviewing, he's from Iowa originally. They were expressing concerns about Iowa. So let's go through the list here. Iowa. Supposedly, the virtual caucus is only going to count for 10% of the overall caucus, and the 90%, the 90%, the remaining, is going to be traditional in-person caucus. But what the guy was pointing out there is, what if the majority of like Bernie supporters do it online versus Harris supporters do it in person? Well, the in-person caucus is going to be weighted much more than the online caucus. I think, to tell you the truth, who does stuff more online? Older people or younger people?
Oh, you want an answer?
Yeah.
Oh, I have no idea.
Right.
It's just, I mean, young people are so notoriously bad with technology, they have to get help from a grandparent.
Right. So, also, the one in Nevada, and I could be wrong, but as of last week, they didn't even have a vendor yet for handling the virtual online caucus. I want to know who that vendor is, because there's been some reporting out there in 2016. There were voting vendors that had ties to the Democratic Party and the DNC. So, bottom line, you're basically, for the election that the Democratic Party, they always say this is the most important in our lifetime, but it's a very important. It's a very important election. You're basically in Iowa, and I spoke with an Iowa activist yesterday who's trying to get me more on the record statements. He said it's a disaster waiting to happen, and essentially they're not even guaranteeing that they're going to do a test run before the Iowa caucus. Same thing with the Nevada caucus. The Nevada Democratic Party will not answer Marcus, who's based in Nevada, at all. He has asked them, who is the vendor going to be? What are the safeguards that are going to be put in place so there's no shenanigans? What is the oversight and accountability for this virtual caucus that we've never done before? Nevada Democratic Party will not give him an answer. Iowa, Marcus is starting to get contacts in Iowa. Again, he's based in Nevada. But in Iowa, to me, I don't know if they have a vendor for this yet. Same questions. Will there be a test run? You're doing this for the first time. How are you going to know it works? What is the accountability? What is the oversight? None of these questions have been answered, and the only things I have seen out there about these virtual caucuses are basically a bunch of PR releases that give zero information. It is now July, almost middle of July. The Iowa caucus is February. The Nevada caucus is February. So we're basically 8 months out. That doesn't seem... If you want to give them the benefit of the doubt and say, well, they're not intentionally trying to rig it, okay, but this is grossly incompetent.
It just, well, it does sound, it sounds like it's going to be a clusterfuck. and so that's going to require campaigns to do a lot more organizing. And I would venture to guess that there's not a single campaign out there that's really excited to deal with a virtual caucus and then an in-person caucus, and like I don't understand.
And also,
the rule change. I don't know why they did it.
And also, the reason they're doing this, or the reason they're saying they're doing this, is so that the elderly, handicapped don't get disenfranchised who can't come down in person. But why couldn't you do something like early voting for them, or something you could figure out that doesn't basically completely change the entire system of the caucus?
Or just make it an open primary.
Even better.
I mean, caucuses notoriously disenfranchise people, so that's not to and that's not to diminish people who win caucuses by large numbers.
Bernie.
It's just to point out that caucuses do tend to disenfranchise people.
But I got news for you. If you think the DNC is corrupt federally, your local Democratic parties, I'm sure you know, for those of you that are activists watching, are not exactly like for the proletariat. There's a lack of transparency about how these are going to work, who the vendors are, what the safeguards in place are, who's overseeing it, because I don't want it to be the actual state parties overseeing it, or the DNC. It needs to be an actual neutral, professional company overseeing this. Because, frankly, you think the Russians are the biggest threat to our democracy? These numbers online can be played with any way you smoke it. And I think you're a little bit less cynical than I am, but I've seen a lot of shit out on the road. And there's a lot of shenanigans that go on. And shenanigans is a nice way of saying it.
Sure.
In these primaries. Thank you, Tammy Cavello, $10 in the super chat. Nico House did a really good video about this. Okay, go watch that. I don't know. Marcus is going to keep digging on this. Obviously, we're trying to investigate and break some news here, either on Nevada or
Iowa. It's really good to find out what safeguard. Those are simple questions. These should not be difficult questions that they get all cagey about. But it's typical Democrats. I'm sorry, but at every level of government, caginess is what is the MO.
But also, I think something else they might be trying to do here, and stay with me, folks. The virtual caucus, particularly in Iowa, I think it's going to be a mishmash, mostly over the phone. It's not going to be held in over one day. It's going to be hell. It's going to be a process.
This isn't going to work.
It's going to be a process. It's going to be a process where I think it's for at least a week to 2 weeks. So you're telling me that the virtual caucus, which is not held on the day of the caucus, it's going to be, I think, for a few weeks before, people phoning in and whatever. We'll get the details once we have them. Well, you're telling me that we're not going to get a breaking news alert? Joe Biden is up 40 to 10 based on the early caucus, the virtual caucus or whatever, as a way to suppress the vote on caucus day. We saw that in California primary, where the Associated Press basically declared Hillary Clinton the winner of the whole thing before primary day.
Before it even
There is a huge potential for that to happen, where it's kind of similar to early voting. Media outlets report, well, so-and-so candidate is doing very well in early voting, but in this case, potentially, they could be basically reporting who's so far in first place, by what percentage, and this and that, which would go to suppressing the vote, I think.
That's possible. I'm not gonna exactly march down that road, but I think that it's something to watch out for. I think safeguards are important, and I think that media narrative is something to keep in check. When especially that statistic that only it's weighted so heavily in favor of the in-person caucus. That's something that's important to keep in mind and to get out there if that media narrative starts, that the winner of the virtual caucus is doing super well. Unless it's somebody that you like, in which case tout the virtual caucus, because that's how politics work.
Right. Let's see here. Retro Pirate Truth Seeker, another £5. I'd put you up for free in Rock, Cornwall, UK. Beautiful seaside resort for rich and famous politicians, royal family. Fun. Why, thank you. If I'm in the UK, I might hit you up. So, to wrap a bow on this, if you want, and there's 460 of you watching, so I'm looking straight into the camera. If you want us to investigate this, if you want Marcus in the field, investigating, building sources, we need funding to do it. We need the funding to do it. We are not like other outlets asking you to become members so that we can then give you 24/7 Trump, the Russian boogeyman, Stormy Daniels, and whatever other substanceless bullshit is going on in the world. We are getting out in the streets. We are talking to the people. We are talking to activists, and we are finding out information. That's what we're trying to do. So, again, I will say it till I'm blue in the face, because if we're not going to advocate for ourselves, who will? Become a Status Quo member. I am pretty sure of the 450 of you watching, of what is going on here? Oh, because my mouse is on there. Of the 450 of you watching right now, I'm going to have to take a guess that a few of you are not members yet. So what I ask you to do is consider, what is real, independent, progressive journalism worth to you? Because the day, we have free media in this country, and what do you get for it? A bunch of propaganda. So I hope for $5 to $10 a month you could do it. Obviously, if you're on a budget or you're living paycheck to paycheck, or you don't know if you're going to pay the rent this month, we get it. Just watch us, share us, like it, spread the word. We get it if some people can't. But if you can, every single member makes a big difference. That's how we're going to keep Marcus. Right now, we don't have enough to keep him in a full-time capacity past July. We would like to grow our membership so we could keep him in a full-time capacity. We need the funding to do it. And we're showing you what we're going to do. We went down to the debate in Miami. We've obviously been to Flint many times, Detroit, Cleveland. We've been to Seattle, Vancouver, Chicago, Dallas, Virginia, West Virginia. I'm running out of... actually, wait. Do I still have this handy-dandy map? I think I do.
You should put a pin in every place you go.
We did.
You did?
I'm trying to see if I have the map. I do not.
Have you ever been to Edgerton, Wyoming?
I've never been to Wyoming.
You've never been to Wyoming?
No.
Oh, you gotta go to Wyoming. But I'm giving a shout out to Edgerton, population 196, at least the last time I was there, which was a while ago, actually, more than a few years. But I can't imagine that it's grown that much.
So, moral of the story: become a Status Quo member. It makes a big difference. And again, if you become a member by 7:30 Eastern tonight, so a little under 2.5 hours left. You'll get a link to join our members-only video call. If you're a Patreon, you got the same link. That's where Jen and I every month talk to you guys. It's a video call. It's kind of the wild, wild west. I always get in trouble for a little TMI, and boy, I got a wonderful announcement to tell you a little bit later about our documentary, Flushing Flint. Our documentary, Flushing Flint. We'll have an announcement about that, so keep it coming, statuscoup.com/join. And for those of you who say, Jordan, stop asking for money, would you rather be asking Goldman Sachs for money? Pfizer?
That's a big leap.
ExxonMobil? Deloitte? Raytheon? I'd rather ask the people to fund us than the special interests. I don't want to miss anyone. Retro, I got you. Tommy Cavallo. $10. Bernie voters have to show up because the virtual caucuses only count for 10% of the vote. Yes, that's what we've been talking about. And Marcus is digging into this to try and break if there's any shenanigans or, frankly, rigging that is going to go on. Michael Cooper, is that €2 or pounds? I always get it confused.
That's euros.
€2. Abolish all political parties. I don't know about that, but Gorm the Elder, 50 Dick. I don't know what that means, but thank you. Jordan doing journalism with his nephew now. Not my nephew, my second cousin. This is Walker Bragman. Check his stuff out. His Twitter handle is right there in the description box. So I want to have a little, we've been talking about some serious things, right?
Yeah, I mean,
I want to have a little comedic relief. Are you ready for a little comedic relief?
You're not going to do bunny ears on
Audience, trigger warning. If you haven't eaten, look away. I want Walker to react to this.
We're going to do a spit take.
I want Walker to react to this live on the internet. And I haven't really given my debriefing of this. So here we go. I want to introduce you to some of the biggest intellectuals in the United Corporations of America. Here we go.
USA! No Trump! No KKK! No fascist USA! Wow, do we look much better than the other side?
So they're chanting no Trump, no fascists, USA. Yeah, let's go talk to them.
I hate to tell you, because maybe it was, your favorite, the Muslim son of a commie whore that you really have such love for.
The Muslim son, who are you talking about?
You don't know?
The Muslim son of a commie whore?
Yeah. Oh, you don't know who that is? The Muslim son of a commie whore, number 44. You don't know.
So, sir, can I tell you? You're a racist bigot. You're a racist bigot.
I'm calling it out, the truth.
You think President Trump has been strong on race?
He's been beautiful on race because you know.
Hear the Central Park Five?
That's what I'm talking about.
What about the Central Park Five?
2 million black men in jail. That's what I'm against. I'm answering the question the way I answer it. The Central Park Five, I really didn't study them or find out what they did or didn't do, so I cannot respond to them.
I was told Iraq had weapons of mass destruction and was behind 9/11.
Did you see them not have weapons of mass destruction?
That's a double negative. You can't prove it. You can't prove a negative. No, I didn't see them not have, but we don't go to war based on what someone might have.
Let me ask you something, right? Have you ever touched a female body? I mean, you're kind of young, right? But have you ever grabbed a female body? Against her will?
This is the thing. Against her will?
That you haven't proven that. He never said.
He said I grab women by the.
You're a liar.
He said it on tape.
It's not against her will. People grab other people once in a while.
Democrats just want socialism. That's not American.
Okay. So
they want free everything. That's not American.
Are you on Social Security?
In America.
Are you on Social Security?
I am, but I work a full-time business.
I know, but you're aware Social Security is a socialist program.
Well, that's beside the point. You
just said you don't want socialism.
That's fine. That's fine.
Who do I support? I support Bernie Sanders.
Bernie Sanders, I don't like who's the Cherokee Indian who had us in slavery, of course.
Bernie Sanders is a Cherokee Indian?
Yes, he is. He says he is. His wife is, but that ain't the point.
What are you talking about?
The point I'm making is...
No, you're talking about Elizabeth Warren.
No, Bernie Sanders, I'm talking about him, sir. You just don't know
about Elizabeth Warren.
I'm in no Social Security, fool. So why are you accusing me of being on something I am not?
Wait a minute.
Wait. No.
Well, you don't want to answer the. You don't want to answer the question.
Why are you going on camera lying?
You don't want to answer the question.
Oh, God. Medicare for all? I need a special type of Medicare for all just to deal with the migraines swirling around my head, brought to you by these Trump supporters. You could help. Become a Status Coup member for as low as $5 to $10 a month. statuscoup.com/join and help keep my brain healthy and sane. So, I have no question. I give you the floor. And by the way, for those of you that don't know, that was a compilation of my interviews with supporters of President Trump down in Miami. Colin Tooley, our great editor, did that mashup of a bunch of those interviews. You could see the interviews in full right here on the channel. Just go through our videos list and you'll find it. Colin, if one day I'm able to provide health care to employees, you're going to get a special plan, because I'm sure your brain is still hurting from having to go through all of those Trump supporter interviews and put together that video. Your thoughts on just which one stands out, and
how'd you get away from that guy at the end?
Ty stepped in to prevent the fight. And by the way, I'm glad Ty stepped in, because I just had back surgery. I can't really afford.
Yeah, I was just saying, that guy looked like he could do a number on you.
Oh no, I would have kicked his ass, but
I don't know, man. No, you're a lover, not a fighter.
You don't know me. You don't know me. But I wanted to play that, A, for humor, but B, to point out,
I'm sure you're taking it.
We're up against, do not underestimate Trump's strength. I think, yes, his polling, he's got a huge disapproval rating. He had one of the most terrible approval records in electoral history in 2016, and he became president. Yeah, he's going to lose the popular vote, but unfortunately, we don't have a country based on the popular vote.
The question that those interviews make me ask myself is how do we share? How are we from the same country? Like how do you reach people? Like, I mean, those it's almost like, I don't think that some of those people, I don't think you can reach those people. I think that some are so set in their beliefs that they're too far gone. So maybe you can reach some, but it's really troubling. That's really troubling. Like, it's funny. Like, some of your responses, the snark and the obvious lack of not understanding is funny, but at the same time it speaks to a larger problem, much larger problems in this country that I think should be addressed. I think there's a big racial racism problem, specifically white, working class racism problem. I think that there is an education gap, that education it's so inconsistent from state to state, and I don't know, man. That video, it's funny, but it's also really sad.
Well, what I think is the most telling, obviously, listen, I'm not going to spend so much time on the guy that called Obama a Muslim commie whore. I called him a bigot. He is a bigot. I don't like Obama's presidency or policies, but he was the first black president. That's history, and it's just bigotry straight up, what he said, and he's an idiot. And he is on Social Security. That's why he got so angry, because he wouldn't answer me. I was making the point. You hate socialism. This is tyranny, but are you on Social Security? And that's what I want to stress, because to me, yes, all of those were kind of funny. I think the guy who was basically saying, grabbing women by the pussy without their consent is disgusting. Frankly, I hope law enforcement was watching to look into that guy, because it's like he's literally on tape saying, people grab people sometimes. It's not a big deal. Obviously, I can't analyze that. He's just a terrible, gross person. But to me, the one that stuck out was the older gentleman who was saying we can't afford socialism. And then when I said to him, are you on Social Security? He had a blank stare, because he's never actually thought about that. And to me, because I've seen this on the road, that's not just Trump supporters. That's a lot of establishment Democrats, too, that are older. They think Bernie's too far, Bernie's too progressive. We don't want socialism, because they come from this era coming up in the 70s and 80s, talking about older people. We do have a lot of older viewers who are not like that, but they think, they bought that socialism is communism and all that. But a lot of these older people, they don't even realize that we're already socialist, and they're benefiting from it and a lot of the programs they're enrolled in. To me, that is one of the biggest underlying stories of this election, because Bernie is the only candidate, particularly even over Warren, that is saying, yeah, we already live in a socialist country. It's corporate socialism. And older people, like Trump supporters like that guy, but also Harris supporters, Biden supporters, older people that like Buttigieg, whatever, they are so worried because Bernie Sanders uses the word socialism without realizing we're already socialists. And that guy literally did not understand. You saw his face. Social Security is a socialist program.
Well, who was it during the debates? It was Hickenlooper, right? He was like, we can't go too far to the left, or they're going to call us socialists. Well, counterpoint, Obama, was just called a commie. Sorry, his mom was called a commie, or his dad was called a commie. I don't know. I mean, but
I think his dad.
You think his dad? Yeah. So I mean, that's going to happen. You're going to be called socialist no matter what. You might as well own it and tell people what it actually means. And I think that's, I don't think everyone in your video is unreachable, but that guy at the end, probably unreachable.
And by the way, for those of you watching at home, just to make it clear,
he's very tough.
And thank you very much. God, we're getting so many super chats. Keep it coming, folks. I don't want to miss anyone. Gorm the Elder, 50 DKKK. 50 DKK isn't 50 dicks. It's 50 Danish kroner. Ooh, I love a good Danish muffin. What's that? A
cheese Danish?
A cheese Danish. I love cheese Danish. I would love to come have a cheese Danish with you, Gorm the Elder. Sorry I wasn't calling you a dick. I just didn't know what 50 dicks were. But 50 DKK isn't 50 dicks. It's 50 Danish kroner. Here, have another for the excellent coverage you did on Detroit a few months ago. Hey, Gorm, we're going back to Detroit for the debate. And we're not only going to cover the debate, we're going to cover the activist protests going on in Detroit, because Detroit is burning. Don't take it from me. Take it from the activists in Detroit and Flint I talk to on a weekly basis. We had another one. PJ Coin, €5. Why don't you use paper ballots in all states? That is a wonderful question, because they don't believe in democracy. Retro Pirate Truth Seeker, you're like, I should ask you to be an investor. This is like the 5th or 6th one. Where are the young Bernies and Gravels?
Right here.
Right here. I love Mike Gravel, and I think he's actually close to being eligible for the second debate.
Oh my God!
So
yes.
I'm a journalist. I don't tell viewers to donate to candidates. However, I am telling you, if you look at his Twitter, which is run by people in high school, which is awesome.
It's the best Twitter account.
I do think he is very close to being eligible for the second presidential debate, and I'd love to see him on that stage.
Yeah, no, I would too. And I'm not doing an endorsement this election, but I think it would be amazing to have Mike Gravel on the debate stage. He needs to be on that debate stage, in my opinion.
Reeve Barker, $5 in a super chat. Going to cover the pro-Trump Dem vet running for McConnell's seat. I will. I saw her video. I thought it was a good video. I think she's just going to be another establishment Democrat. But frankly, if you ask me, would I rather establishment Democrat over Mitch McConnell in Kentucky? Yeah, I would. I think Mitch McConnell is one of the biggest cancers on America. I put him up there with Ted Cruz, Donald Trump, and he's damn effective. Mitch McConnell is way more effective than Donald Trump, Ted Cruz, or any of those. He knows what he's doing, and he is what the Democratic Party is not great either, but Mitch McConnell has done more to block any form of progress than any other politician probably in the last 2 decades. So I will cover her, and I'm sure there's actually going to be progressives running against Mitch McConnell, not just this former, I think she was in the
fighter pilot.
Fighter pilot, yeah. So yes, I will cover that. Thanks for the super chat. I donated to Mike Gravel. There you go. So my point on all this is very simple. This is not just a Trump supporter thing. We showed you the video for some comedic relief, but basically the media and the Democratic Party has been expert, and basically all of the apparatus, the CIA, the deep state, all that, in making socialism a scary word. And you see it in those videos. I guarantee you if I interviewed more reasonable, less bigoted people on the campaign trail, they would say similar things about socialism, because they don't understand we already live in a socialist country. When we give tax cuts to rich people, it's redistributed from us up to them through programs that get cut for us. And there are invisible taxes all the time that we're paying. They might not be your taxes going up, but your programs get cut. There's lack of investment in cities all over this country because we got to give tax cuts to the rich. And it's not just that. The veterans healthcare, socialist program, Social Security, socialist program, Medicare, socialist program. I could go on through the list. So deregulation, same difference. These are all redistribution. So, anything I missed there?
No, I think you pretty much ran the gamut.
See, Walker's new to this, so an hour and a half in, he's losing his intellectual esteem.
Never.
No.
Never.
Oh, I did want to make a point, though. For those of you worried, let me tell you something. I just had back surgery, so I don't want to get in a fight, and I'm a lover, not a fighter. But if somebody punches me on the campaign trail...
He's not afraid to curl up in a ball and take more punches.
Let's just say I will defend myself. Don't worry. I'm not like a machismo kind of guy. Like, look at me, I'm a big tough guy. I'm not. But you don't have to worry about me. And I'm looking forward to that debate. But honestly, to cover the Detroit debate, you know how much this is going to cost us as a company?
I don't even want to ask.
It's already between the flights, the hotel, and the rent-a-car. We're already at $2,000 for this
You haven't
trip.
even touched a case of champagne.
No, there's no champagne. So $2,000 for this trip. So again, the super chats are great, but if you want to help us cover our expenses to cover the debate, like nobody else will, you saw what we did in Miami. We're going to do that and more in Detroit. There's our GoFundMe link, and as always, I'll gingerly tell you again, if you're not a member, I'm a little upset. Statuscoup.com/join. You get great bonus content like tonight's video call, 7:30 Eastern. Become a member before 7:30 Eastern. You'll get the link to join our video call where Jen and I will talk to you. And Walker, I have an announcement to tell the members tonight. And the members are going to find out way earlier because I'm not making this public. I'm only telling members. Do you want to know what it is?
I do, but are you going to spoil it?
No, I want to know. Do you want to know what the members? Would you know what my announcement is?
I do know what I know what your announcement is.
Is it juicy?
It is juicy.
Is it great for the future of status quo and independent journalism?
It could very well be.
Is it potentially great for Flint, Michigan?
Well, I don't know.
What do you mean you don't know?
I don't want to say more without. I don't want to ruin your surprise. But yes, no, it's very good. It's actually really cool and very exciting. And I will not be here, but I know what it is, so I don't have to be.
That's right. So join us, statuscoup.com/join. So I want to wrap up today.
Can we talk about Pelosi?
That's
please?
what I was just going to do. I want to wrap up today because, oh boy, we're already hearing from the same establishment tools. Stop fighting. We need to be united as a party. All these, which is basically fall in line, fall in line, fall in line. Retro. How much money do you have under that pillow? This is like your 20th super chat. Keep it coming if you want. GoFundMe too, Retro. I'll put the link in right there for you, Retro. You could GoFundMe, you could super chat, you could invest, whatever you want. So we're already hearing, don't attack Joe Biden. We're already hearing, don't attack each other. We need to be strong. We need to be a united party. And Nancy Pelosi. Apparently Nancy Pelosi can attack whoever she wants, but progressives need to shut up and take it.
This is the typical Democratic line, and this is a problem with the party that
Can I tell them what happened in the behind the closed doors meeting today, and then you can respond. Long story short, Pelosi over the weekend, Pelosi did an interview with the New York Times. She basically again dismissed Ocasio-Cortez, Rashida Tlaib, Ayanna Pressley, and Ilhan Omar as these are just four people and they have their Twitter and basically just shitting on them, for lack of a better word. And then Congresswoman Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez responded, basically tweeting like, that thing you call...
that whatever is called public sentiment.
Yeah, that thing you call Twitter, and that is called public sentiment. It's kind of important to creating change in the country. Well, Empress Pelosi, she doesn't like that talk back. She's like a mother, don't you talk back to me or I'll put soap in your mouth, which my mother did often when I was a kid.
Wait, what?
Oh, my mother was like...
You got soap?
Once or twice, yeah.
No.
You never got soap in your mouth?
No. What? Wait, I thought...
You must have been a good...
When did you grow up? The 50s? Did anybody... Wait, I want to know.
I grew up in the 90s.
Well, wait, did anybody else get soap? Can we get some comments going? Can you all tell us if you got soap or not? I'm not seeing comments here. I clearly don't command your audience.
I got soap once or twice. I got slapped in the face once by my mother. I love her. Lori, if you're watching, I love you. But I mean, this is the truth. The people for Walker's hair. Did I not tell you to cut your hair?
You did tell me to cut my hair. You did tell me to cut my hair.
Thank you. So now you're getting me all verklempt.
Well, I'm not seeing if anybody else has gotten
because
there's a delay.
There's a bit of a delay. That's why. Yes, soap.
Yes, soap. What?
I did.
What?
Oh, check your GoFundMe. Somebody said.
No one got.
Ooh! Oh my Lord, Carol Edwards. I gotta talk to you, Carol Edwards. You are my main squeeze. $213 just deposited in our GoFundMe. Carol Edwards, who has been continually leaving such generous amounts. Carol, I owe you big time. I'm going to email you again because we were emailing back and forth to thank you again. And I want to get on the phone with you because, honestly, all GoFundMe donations are appreciated. But when individuals leave repeatedly, like really generous amounts, it makes a huge difference for us to cover some of these crazy costs that we have to go in the field. That's why CNN, MSNBC, New York Times, Washington Post just do the horse race all the time because it's expensive to do real journalism in the field. People like Carol are helping us. Thank you, Anonymous, $45 4 hours ago. $100 from Tammy Cavello. Tammy, thank you, thank you, thank you. That's so, so generous of you. So we are now at 63,700. My goal for the end of July is to get to 65,000. So we're kind of on target for that. And once we get to 65,000, then we have laser in our sight. I'm lasered to that 85,000, which is our ultimate goal. We'd have to raise 20,000 more. I think we could do it. We're honestly competing with a lot of our viewers donating to politicians. So there's a lot, there's a lot of needs. But first we got to get to 65,000. So thank you, Tammy. Thank you, Carol. And definitely for those of you who didn't know, we have a GoFundMe going. Super Chats are appreciated too. The only downside about Super Chats, shocker, YouTube takes 30%. YouTube takes a 30% cut. GoFundMe takes a lot less. Whatever you want, whatever's easier for you. But GoFundMe is certainly appreciated. And thank you. Can we get $300 in the next half hour, 20 minutes to reach 64,000? Do you think we could do it?
It's not up to me.
It's up to the people. Can we get $300 in the next 20 minutes? And for those of you donating, make sure you're on our members call tonight. Statuscoup.com/join. Become a member before 7:30. Jen and I, we got a lot of things to talk about and exciting news about our documentary.
Can we get back to Pelosi for a second?
Yes.
Okay.
Walker doesn't like that I'm being a businessman and trying to grow my company. But wait, I just want to.
I know you.
But
do,
wait.
You do your thing.
I just want to make sure that people know the story. So after all that, Pelosi had a private meeting with her caucus, including the progressives, and basically told them, "Cut it out. No more tweets. You got a complaint. You come and talk to me about it." Pelosi told Democrats, according to a source in the room. But do not tweet about our members and expect us to think that that is just okay. So basically, she's saying, I do what I want.
Loyalty. It is the lifeblood of the Democratic Party post-Clinton. It is this idea that comes from the top and goes down to the local level that if you dissent, you are disloyal, and that cannot be tolerated. The Democrats must put forward a united front. And really, I think this is ridiculous because dissent and discussion is how you avoid things like groupthink. And if I had to give a modern example of groupthink, it would be, well, only a centrist candidate who does exactly what Hillary Clinton did in 2016 is electable. Like that's, but with a few tweaks, but like. It's very frustrating, and it feels very high school, and it feels very petty. And frankly, if you look at Pelosi's record, I summed this up today on my Twitter. But if you go through what she's done as speaker, you start off with pay-go, that rule that Pelosi insisted on, that all new spending had to be offset by spending cuts. She caved on DACA early on. Joy Reid called it a bold fold. I'm still waiting on the final deal.
I'm still waiting to find out who hacked Joy Reid's blog.
She caved on...
And what happened to the FBI investigation. Go on.
She caved on the Yemen resolution. She allowed Republican Ken Buck, to water down the Yemen resolution, adding in an amendment that basically allows for the United States to continue, even if they stop supporting the Saudi war effort, they could continue doing intelligence sharing operations, which is defined pretty broadly. She caved on concentration camp funding. That's another troubling thing. She's no on impeachment proceedings. She's got no ground shifting legislation passed. I mean, there's HR 1. That's good, but it's not fundamentally like earth shifting. Like if she passed like a Medicare for all bill, that would change the conversation on healthcare instantly. She's not passing tuition-free college or any of that stuff. She passed a bill subsidizing natural gas infrastructure in Europe, and she's constantly punching left, and now she doesn't want to take any action on Secretary Acosta. So Pelosi framed herself as like a transitional speaker when she was running and trying to get the votes. She said that she would only be in for a short time, I think, which was code for progressives just aren't ready to lead yet. But left Twitter, people on the left knew exactly what kind of speaker she would be, and at every step of her speakership, they've been proved right. So it's frustrating. It's disappointing. It's political theater. There's no real resistance to Trump from the Democratic leadership. And those 4 women that she singled out have done more in a few months than she's done in her entire career to push a progressive agenda. And I welcome anyone to try to disprove that.
So a few public service announcements before I respond to that. Welcome new Status Quo member, Emil Nudison joined the Media Revolution. We are now at 613 Status Quo members. Keep it coming, folks. Statusquo.com/join. Emil, you will get the link to join our members call tonight. And anybody who's not a member yet, you could sign up, statusquo.com/join. Become a member for as low as $5 to $10 a month. You'll get the invite to join our call tonight, where we do have an exciting announcement to make. And it is now almost a little over an hour and a half till our video call. You'll see my ugly face, Jen's wonderful face, and we'll see all of you. Also, somebody just asked, did we send out an email about the call? Yes, we did yesterday. If you didn't get it, now you know. And Jen's going to send out another quick one about an hour before the call, so you'll have the information. And if you're having any issues where you didn't get the link but you're a member, let us know. Email info@statusquo.com. Jen had to go to a funeral today. Nobody, an older person in her family, so sad for Jen. But she'll be available for the call and troubleshooting if we have issues. If you're having an issue where you're a member and you didn't get the link, email info@statusquo.com. Let me answer some super chats. McCoy Williams, $1 in the super chat. Thank you so much. Retro Pirate Truth Seeker, again, he got age 5, he got soap in the mouth, got hit and learned. School hit with slipper 5 to 12, then 12 to 16 cane, but cut bum.
I am really sorry to hear that.
Sounds like quite the childhood. Gorm the Elder, 50 Danish. Danish, what was it? 50 Danish?
You're putting me on the spot.
I don't know.
Like
Just signed up for membership. Google is going to get a cut of these Danish dicks anymore. Keep on the good work. Gorm, welcome to the Media Revolution, and thank you for becoming a Status Quo member. We just got another one. Tammy Perello, welcome to the Media Revolution. We are now at 614 Status Quo members. Our goal for end of July is 700, so every member is getting us closer to that goal. And as a reminder, we're headed to Detroit for the second debate, and I don't care if CNN lets us in. We're waiting to hear back if they're going to approve us for credentials. I'm not holding my breath. But if they don't let us in, we'll let the pundits and the establishment media eat cake inside. We'll be with the people outside. One more. See, I got to multitask here.
It's impressive.
Yes. And what else? Okay. So on Pelosi, basically what she said as a Speaker of the House, I'll speak, you shut the fuck up. That's what she's saying. And what I find so interesting about this, Nancy Pelosi knows exactly what she's doing. She knows, I mean, I'm not saying the Speaker of the House, like his or her words has the same weight as the president. I mean, the president's words, the stock market goes up and down, countries around the world change things based on the president's words. But she knows when she is basically belittling, diminishing, minimizing, and crapping on progressives, Representative Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, Congresswoman Ilhan Omar, Congresswoman Rashida Tlaib, Congresswoman Ayanna Presley, Congressman Ro Khanna, Congressman Mark Pohan, to name a few. What she's basically signaling, she's giving the donors what they want, because the donors hate AOC. They hate these new progressives, almost as much as they hate Bernie Sanders. What she's also doing is telling Ocasio-Cortez and these others, you want to have your little political revolution? You want to have your little, tweets and followers? Okay. You think you're going to be on these committees next term? You think you're going to have any opportunities to do anything in this Congress? I will put you so far in the back bench. Oh, by the way, I'll also make sure your primary challenger is well funded, because obviously the corporate Democratic establishment is going to find somebody to primary Ilhan Omar, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, probably Rashida Tlaib, and others I mentioned. So she's not just saying don't tweet. There's other inferences in there, and it's basically threatening them. You want to win on Twitter, and you want to have your little political revolution? Well, I'm going to show you what reality is.
Well, if only she would spend that much time fighting Trump, or fighting for progressive causes, or Pelosi has shown more animosity towards 4 women of color in her own party than she has against an administration that is running concentration camps along the southern border committing genocide.
I'm in the camp. I'm in the camp that disagrees with that term, but that's for another day. Go ahead.
It's just, if you're watching the Democratic Party as somebody who
did you mention she just made this gift wrap deal to Mitch McConnell on the border? Did you mention that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Earlier, but she's not really doing anything to resist Trump. I mean, for all the talk of resistance and for her golf clap or whatever that was, when you look at the record and you look at what she's done, she hasn't done much. She hasn't really done anything. So I don't know. It's disappointing because obviously I would like to see a stronger Democratic Party opposing this administration. I would like to see a more progressive Democratic Party. And it's disheartening. And I have to wake up every day and look at my, Twitter feed and be like, oh, what did Pelosi say today? Who'd she go after? Oh, no surprise. She went after the same progressives. Oh, she's punching left again. Oh, and what has she done on healthcare? What has she done on immigration? What has she done on the environment? What has she done on wage stagnation or inequality? Nothing.
Public service announcement. We got 10 more minutes of this live stream, and just got another big donation. Carol Edwards. I think I'm gonna have to name a microphone or a camera after you. Another $200 from Carol Edwards after she just gave $213. That's, can I do math? $413 in the last half hour from Carol Edwards. I think she wants a media revolution, and I'm prepared to give it to you, Carol. Thank you, Kelly Elaine, $10 in the GoFundMe. $5, Jennifer Arbuckle. Patrick Coyne, $27. We are now $58 away from $64,000. Let me tell you something, by the way. and I'd love your thoughts, Walker. We launched this in September, so that is 9 months ago.
Clearly, this money is not going to math tutoring.
Right.
For Jordan.
But we launched this in September, so on paper, that's 9 months. We didn't even mention the GoFundMe for 3 of those months because we were shut down from going live on YouTube for 3 months. I don't know if you knew that.
I remember that.
So really, we've raised $64,000, almost $64,000, in 6 months. We had the largest donation was $5,000 from an anonymous person. I know who that wonderful person is. It's not a plutocrat, and it wasn't a celebrity. It was a viewer who I've been trying to get in contact with, but he lives in the desert, and he's kind of under wraps. Anyway, but most of these have been small dollar donations, a few higher ones. It's amazing to me because you know some of the arrogant, elitist media people that work in New York City. I remember before I started Status Coup, I had a meeting with one of them, and they said to me, they might as well have been just like tapping me on the shoulder. Well, that's cute that you want to like interview real people about real issues, but like you can't like make money off of that. Nobody's going to like fund that. Oh, you want to interview like people about water and pipelines and things like that? Like that's clever, but if that could have been, if that could become a business model, it would have been done by now. And I told them, okay, well, I'll talk to you in a few years. And the people are answering that because the people want this. And I also think the reason you guys have been generous enough to keep donating, we're not talking about what we're going to do. We're showing you what we're going to do. I wish I had the map. I'll show you tomorrow. We've been to so many places around this country in 14 months. And for most of that time, it was being funded by crowdfunding or my life savings, a combination of the two. So I can't thank you guys enough. Like, honestly, I'm blown away by your generosity. And there you go. $64,000. Thank you, Patrick Coyne. Just put us over the top. $58 from him. Wow.
Can I put out a picture?
Sure.
So, okay, so I'm working on an article right now, and I need anybody who lives in California, preferably in the San Francisco area. If you know anybody who went through the Back on Track re-entry program for first-time drug sellers, drug sales offenders, send me a DM at my Twitter, which is just @Walker Bragman. I figure that while we have the audience, I'll just put it out there. I'm trying to get this article done, and I need to get some people.
Very nice.
Thank you.
Walker was interrupting my celebration.
I was.
$64,000. I wish I had my blower. You know, the birthday candle blower.
Do not get an air horn.
No, but it broke, so I don't have the blower. But guys, we are now 21,000 away from our ultimate goal. I can't thank you enough. Keep spreading the word, and obviously, for those of you who have donated many, many times, I'm eternally grateful. And also, we also have one more update for you before I finish this live stream. Welcome new Status Coup member Patrick Stanton and Avert Jones. So we are now at 615 Status Coup members. That's statuscoup.com/join. You can become a member for as low as $5 to $10 a month or $179 annually. Every member counts. And we are now just 1.5 hours away from our members call. Jen and I will be live with you for our members, Patreons as well. When I say members, it includes Patreons. We're trying to grow going forward just through our website. We don't want to be overly reliant on Patreon because it's a third-party platform. But Patreons, you will also get a link to join our call tonight. That's 7:30 Eastern Time. Become a member before 7:30, you'll get the link. I'll finish on Pelosi. What I think is really alarming about this, and honestly,
It's a good word for it.
I spoke with the girl that I'm dating now about this, and she's progressive, but she's definitely a little more anything but Trump than I am. And she said, now's not the time. Like, I agree with you on Pelosi shouldn't be shitting on the progressives. I agree with you on all these things, but now's not the time. Like, we need to unite. And I said to her, why would you unite with the very individual and people that are actively working with the Republicans to deprive me and the people I care about healthcare, education, a clean planet, childcare. I mean, the list goes down. How do you unite with people that are actively serving as roadblocks to basic human rights, as Bernie talks about? That is what Nancy Pelosi is doing.
Well, right. As I said on Twitter, they're the car that won't get out of the way of the ambulance.
Right.
You know, instead they're like angry and frustrated, like, get off my ass. Like, why are you causing this uproar? And it's like, because you're not doing your job. You're not doing the job that people elected you to do. And I just think I think there's a generational aspect there. I think they've been in politics for so long that they just don't have an appreciation for or an understanding of how things are done today in what the current political climate is. And I think it's as you said, it's alarming, but hopefully it changes. I think that's my attitude. Hope.
But you know what's interesting to me, and it's funny because people are now like responding to that with like the real breaking news that I'm dating someone. I will not get into my personal life, but I like her a lot. She's a winner. So what's amazing to me, and she said to me, the girl I'm dating, now's not the time. And I said, when is the time? I always hear that from people who are like, now's not the time to fight. You hear that right before the midterms. You hear that right before presidentials. Well, we're always in an election cycle, unfortunately, in America. So when is the time?
Well, it's never the time.
Right. After 2020, is that going to be the time to fight? Then you're going to be, well, don't fight. We need to look ahead to the midterms. You can't live this way in your personal life or your political life. If people are, I understand. Listen, I want to be clear. Taking off my glasses to make this point. I think Trump is dangerous. Just because I don't cover him 24/7 doesn't mean I don't think he's dangerous. It means I don't have anything to add that the 25,000 other people that do Trump 24/7 haven't already told you today. But what's scary to me, I want to defeat Donald Trump more than anything, to the point that I might even vote for people that I don't particularly find to be acceptable, only because I put a bet, and I said this in 2016, I could deal with 4 years of Trump. If you put a gun to my head, I prefer 4 years of Trump and an activist explosion as a result of 4 years of Trump than 8 years of Hillary Clinton. But I think 8 years of Donald Trump is a non-starter. I think somebody like Donald Trump getting reelected without the threat of no election to win, I think could actually just devolve into closer comparisons with like true fascists around the country. I also think do not put it beyond Donald Trump or the Supreme Court that he has put in place to try and change the Constitution where he could serve more than 2 terms. I do not put that past Donald Trump at all, because that's how his brain works. I also think Donald Trump unleashed with another term. You think it's bad now with these, whatever you want to call it. You say concentration camps, I say detention centers. You think that's bad now? You think the bigotry towards Muslims, towards Mexicans, towards black people, towards LGBT? Give him 4 more years.
This is a man who is fomenting a crisis at the border by trying to overcrowd and not provide for these facilities.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, this is a guy who is arming Saudi Arabia and giving them nuclear material while they wantonly commit genocide in Yemen. He is extremely dangerous, and I think that is something that can't be stressed enough. And part of the disappointment with Pelosi and the leadership, the really most of my disappointment with them, besides not fighting for progressive policies, is the fact that not fighting for these policies, I think, hinders the fight against Trump. I think that if you want to beat Trump, you have to embrace a progressive.
Well, I also think that,
and you have to beat it.
Let's put it this way, and this is the media environment we live in, where like things that would have been like stories still. Donald Trump was credibly accused of rape 2 weeks ago. It's totally out of the news by a columnist who I think 2 other people verified that she spoke up about it. I forget her name, but She said that he raped her in the dressing room or changing room at a local department store here in New York City. Donald Trump has also been accused by 16 other women of either harassment, groping, or rape. So Donald Trump is a bad individual. He has authoritarian tendencies, and I think another 4 years of him. I hate the corporate Democratic establishment. Don't get it twisted. But I think he is too dangerous to take that risk. Why I am so critical of Nancy Pelosi and the Democratic Party establishment? I want to get rid of Trump so bad. I am telling you. I am showing you. Iceberg right ahead. That is why this is so dangerous.
I love that it's a yacht, too.
That is why it is so dangerous. Colin Tooley with the amazing graphic. Colin is a great graphic designer. He makes good stuff for us. It is so dangerous to be pushing forward people that any objective person, not clouded in ideology, not clouded in delusion, not just trying to protect their own money, any objective person that understands politics and most importantly understands the mood of the country knows Joe Biden will lose to Donald Trump. I guarantee it. Kamala Harris, I believe, would lose to Donald Trump. Pete Buttigieg would get destroyed. I'm sorry. Warren, if you put a gun to my head, I really don't think she would beat Donald Trump. To me, I think Bernie Sanders is the contrast needed to defeat Donald Trump. And by the way, if you read into the polls, Bernie Sanders is the only one plucking away white working class voters with non-college degrees. That is the Trump voter. We could have a discussion about white working class and whether we should go for white working class, whatever. Point is, Bernie Sanders in a lot of these polls has been plucking away white blue-collar workers without a college degree. That is who Trump dominated. So that's why I'm critical of them, because I think it's so dangerous for the Democratic Party to be putting forward candidates that honestly, by political history of the last decade, are losers.
There's also the moral imperative, right, about addressing issues like climate change and healthcare and inequality. I mean, people are dying. People are dying, and if we don't do something about climate change...
Did you see D.C.? Washington, D.C., just from rain, is now flooded in many parts.
And flooding is becoming more normal, and coastal cities in the U.S. will take a beating, and poor areas, people who live in the poorer areas of those cities are going to take the heaviest beating, and people who live in poorer countries that are vulnerable are going to suffer hugely, and we'll have more refugees from climate change. There is a real moral imperative to address these issues. There is an urgency, and there has to be an opposition party that understands that, appreciates it, and is willing to act on it. And that is the last thing I will say about Pelosi.
And that is the last thing we will say today. Walker, I want to thank you for joining us. Where can people find you?
They can find me on Twitter. You can at Walker Bragman, WALKER BRAGMAN. Or you can read my stuff in Paste Magazine, or The Intercept, or Huffington Post, or wherever I'm, writing. I will obviously be sharing my stuff on Twitter. Oh, and I do have a Facebook that I should probably start pitching more. It's just facebook.com/Walker Bragman Writer.
And you know me, Jordan Chariton. I will see if you are a Status Quo member or Patreon. I will see you in an hour and a half for our members call. That's Jen and I. Will be joined by you, the members. It's not a live chat. It's a video call. So everybody's on screen through Zoom. You'll get a link through Zoom, like Brady Bunch style. We're all on screen. You could ask questions, express your comments, concerns. I have an announcement to make tonight, which I think you guys are going to like. And overall, we need to grow. We're now at 615 Status Quo members. If you want to join the call tonight, you become a member for as low as $5 to $10 a month, and you will get the link once your membership goes through. Thank you for watching. Remember, most people are not lacking compassion in this country. Most people have no effing clue what is going on. Oh, by the way, I forgot. At 6:30, oh, so busy. I'm going on with Natural Progressive. I wish I knew the URL, but if you Google her, I'm going on as a guest on Natural Progressive show in 25 minutes. Peace out.